Afternoon, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I almost said Tuesday. Welcome to boot camp. Coach Jazzi here, and I have our workout planned out for us today. So we're going to be doing 3 rounds of our workout. We are going to do 45-15, so 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest / transition time. We're going to be moving a little bit more front to back or side to side, however you view that. So if you have enough room, or make the room if you need to right now. If not, we can go ahead and you can kind of move a little bit shorter, side to side or whatever really works for your space today. No equipment needed, but we're going to go ahead. I'm going to do a real quick demo for y'all, and then we'll warm up and we'll get right into it. So first movement here, we're going to do some bear crawls. So for this one, if you have the space to go forward and backwards, feel free to do so. If you don't, you can kind of do whatever works for you. But from our hands and knees, we'll tuck our toes, gently bring our knees off of the ground. And you can move forward for a few and then come back for a few. Or if you really only have space, you can do 1 and 1, or you can hold it. So that's gonna be our first movement. And then we're gonna stand on up. We're gonna do a single leg or a staggered squat here. We're gonna do all on one leg and then all on the other leg. So for the first one, picking whichever leg we want to use, having our feet roughly hip width apart, we're going to keep all of our weight on one leg, coming up on our other toe. So from this side, we're on the toe, squatting down, pushing off one of our feet. So again, from this angle, it looks the same as a regular squat would, but I'm only driving through with one leg. So we're going to do 45 seconds on one leg, and then switching over to the other side. So keeping in mind, it's not a lunge, just keeping our foot underneath our hip. And then after that, we're going to go back to the ground. We're going to do a plank to pike toe tap. So working a little bit more on our single arm stability here. So starting on our hands and toes, pushing up, tapping one toe, back down, and then the other side coming up, tapping our toe. So that's going to be our fourth movement. And then next up, we're going to do walking lunges, and we're going to add a little pulse in there. So again, this kind of is going to depend on how much space you have. So if you only really have space for like one step, feel free to do that, or you can just do a stationary lunge. Again, whatever works. But stepping out to a forward lunge, little pulse, back up, and then the other leg, do a little pulse, and so on and so forth. So finally, after that, we're going to do skips. If jumping's not your thing, feel free to march instead. But you can either do this in place or moving forward. So I figured since we already did walking lunges and forward and backward bear crawls, we might as well move forward for our skips. So double tapping as we move forward, getting our knees up, or we can march forward, or we can do all of that in place, depending on our space. I think we all know if I was at home, I would not be moving side to side like that. So if you don't have the space, no problem, we can make it work. So that is going to be our whole circuit. So we can go ahead and get started with our warm-up. So when we're ready, we're going to come to the top of our space for the world's greatest stretch. So we're going to go ahead and release our fingers, grab onto one of our knees, pull our knee towards our chest. Don't know where my balance went. Nice big deep inhale. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands coming down on the inside of our front foot. Back leg staying nice and straight. Nice big deep inhale. And exhaling, opening up towards our front leg. Hand towards the ceiling, thumb is facing behind us, looking past our hand. Getting our rotation in our neck and in our spine while we are opening up our hips. And we're going to go ahead and exhale, plant our hand outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. Breathing into our tight areas. And we're going to exhale, bring our feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. Awesome. All right, next up, same thing, other side. So interlace our fingers, grabbing onto our other knee, pulling towards our chest. And we're gonna go ahead and exhale, step back, reverse lunge. Hands are gonna come down on the inside of our front foot. Keeping our back leg nice and straight, really getting a nice stretch through our hips here. And we are exhaling, opening up towards the ceiling, gazing past our hand, thumb is facing behind us. And we're gonna go ahead and exhale, plant our hand outside of our front foot. Bring our back foot a little bit closer and push our hips up into our hamstring stretch. Breathing into our tight areas here. And we're gonna go ahead and exhale. Bring your feet together, push the ground away, and stand on up. All right, next up, we're gonna do a little bit of plank to pike, get our shoulders and core nice and warmed up here. So getting to our hands and toes however we need to. So if you wanna push your hips back, walk your hands out. And once we are in our plank, when we're ready, let's go ahead, push our hips up into our pike or down dog. We can start to pedal our heels. So let's go ahead, drive one heel into the ground, coming up on our other toe. And we're gonna exhale and switch. This is really gonna help us when it comes to the staggered squats to have a nice open calves. And switch again. And let's go ahead, switch one more time. And then when we're ready, we can plant both our heels, pushing our head in between our arms, opening up our back and shoulders. And we're gonna come back down to plank. And then we're gonna go ahead and do 3 quick pikes here. So we're gonna come up and down and coming up and down. And last one, come back up. And then we can go ahead, coming back to our plank, gently bring our knees to the ground. We're ready to rock and roll. So we are gonna stay there because we have bear crawls first. So we're getting ready on our hands and knees. And we have 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of rest. 3 rounds here, 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay. So, like I said, you can either do a hold or we can move forward or backwards, but we want our knees to be just gently, ever so slightly off the ground, keeping our hips pointed towards the ground. A little bit more tricky moving backwards, but we got this. This is a killer on our quads, which is kind of what I wanted, but I really wanted to see more of our arms. And again, if you don't have space, you can either hold or you can do a shoulder tap, whatever feels good. 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'm already out of breath. All right. Next up, staggered squats. Start with whichever leg you'd like to. 3, 2, 1. So our whole foot is on the ground. Our other toe is in line. I like to line it up with the arch of our foot, but you can find whatever feels good. Just making sure it's not a split squat. And then letting our knee come forward, past our second toe, and then driving through our whole foot, heel big toe, little toe as we stand up. So we really are gonna feel this in one leg, in our quads, and in our glutes, keeping our core engaged so our back is nice and flat, wearing our logo proud. Great job. 3, 2, 1. All right. Same thing, other side. I wanted to do some single leg things in here that weren't lunges. So that's what we're doing, staggered squats. It's been a while since we've done these. 3, 2, 1. I figured I would bring them back. So again, same thing, other leg. This is going to give us a chance to work on one leg at a time, just like we would with a lunge. But again, I really wanted to focus on our squat patterning and everything today. So we're coming down, Driving through our whole foot, coming back up. Exhaling as we stand up. Keeping our core engaged. Great job. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, we're going to do a plank to pike with our toe tap. So we're going to get on the ground on our hands and toes. 3, 2, 1. So starting off in our plank, making sure our pelvis is tucked, our back is flat, our hands are screwed into the ground so our shoulders are activated. Exhaling, tapping our hand to the opposite toe. Making sure too that when we come down into our plank, our hips are staying in line with our shoulders and our heels. So one straight line from our head, shoulders, hips, and heels here. Great job. Keep pushing. 3, 2, 1. All right. Next up, walking lunges with a pulse. If you don't have the space, you can always just do 1 or 2, or you can do stationary lunges. 3, 2, 1. This is one of those ones as well. I know I typically like to do reverse lunges. Walking lunges are the only exception in terms of what I like to have us all do. Primarily because with a forward lunge, when we step out, and if we're pushing our weight back up, I find a lot of us tend to have pain in our knee during that versus reverse lunges. It's a little bit more glute oriented, so it's a little bit more stable on our knee. But in this case, since we're stepping out and then pulsing, pushing forward, we are going to use our glutes a little bit more. 3, 2, 1. So that's why I do prefer a walking lunge versus a static forward lunge. All right, last up, skips. So we're either doing skips or marches moving forward. 3, 2, 1. So double tapping, opposite arm, opposite leg, moving forward. Again, if we don't have the space, we can skip or march in place. If skipping or jumping is not our thing today, no problem. We can go ahead and march forward instead. So doing what feels best for us today, keeping our torso nice and tall, making sure our core is engaged. We're not crunching down. Oh, I went too far. Sorry. We're not crunching down as we drive our knee up. We're staying nice and tall. Great job. Be careful as we turn. You don't want to twist any knees. 3, 2, 1. All right. Round 1 is done. 2 more to go. Starting off with bear crawls here. 3, 2, 1. So we're screwing our hands into the ground. Upper back is nice and flat. Toes are tucked. Knees are slightly off the ground. Keeping those hips nice and flat. Goodness. This is hard on the quads. So we should feel this one in our core, our quads, and our shoulders. We don't have the space to move back and forth, no problem. We can either do a hold, so you can hold it like this. You can do a shoulder tap. Whatever feels good for you today. 3, 2, 1. Okay. We only got 1 more of those. Next up, staggered stance squat. So choose your leg you want to use. 3, 2, 1. So all of our weight is in one leg, onto our other toe. Knee comes forward, chest stays up. Driving through our whole foot. So I'll face this way for a second. Just making sure with our other toe, we're not doing a split squat. But we're also, right now, I'm not using my left leg at all. I'm just using my right leg. So if you need to move slower, so you really feel your legs working, definitely move slower. You can even do a hold at the bottom. Whatever works for you. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Getting ready. We're going to do the same thing on the other leg. So we're getting ready here. 3, 2, 1. All right. Same thing. Other leg on our toe. It's not a split squat. Keeping our foot underneath our hip if we can. If we need to move it out a little bit more, whatever helps you with your balance. I like to keep my feet like I would if I was regularly squatting, but now I'm on my toe. So that way everything is the same. I'm just now only using one leg, not pushing off of this leg. But again, whatever works for you, whatever feels good for you. We're all built a little differently, so we have to find, maybe you're out here, whatever feels good for you. That's a little too wide for my hip. Okay, we're good. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Next up, plank to pike toe tap. Again, we're working on our single arm and single leg stability and strength today. 3, 2, 1. All right, screwing our hands into the ground just like we would with a push-up or our bear crawls. Hands are underneath our shoulders. Exhaling, tap back down. Great job. Keeping our core engaged. So we're zipping our core up. So if we exhale as we push ourselves up, it's going to help us feel it in our core a little bit more. Also making sure that our back is nice and flat, our pelvis is tucked, so butt to belly button. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2 more movements, and then we got 1 more round. So we got walking lunges first. Really cannot see without my glasses. All right. 3, 2, 1. Right, so stepping out. Keeping our weight over the arch of our front foot. So it's the same thing as a reverse lunge, but now we're pushing off our front leg, moving forward. Try to go right into our next one. If our balance allows us, I want us to try and make it as continuous as possible. I'm actually going to go at an angle this time. So we want to step, keep our feet a little bit closer than we think we need to, pushing off, whole foot, using our glutes. 3, 2, 1. I forgot my pulses on all of those. I'm sorry. Next time. Okay. Last but not least, march or skip, moving forward. 3, 2, 1. Okay. We're double tapping. Staying nice and tall through our torso. Opposite arm, opposite leg. So whether we are marching or skipping, they should look the same. So if we're marching, again, you don't have the space to go back and forward. You can always do it in place. I just find this is a good way to mix it up because I feel like we normally do them in place. Great job. Keep going, keep marching, keep skipping. We got this. 3, 2, 1. All right. 2 down, 1 more round to go. Bear crawls, my least favorite. I'm kind of regretting putting these in here today. That's good because we need it. 3, 2, 1. I think my quads would not be as sore if I did not squat yesterday. So there is that. Okay. Last round can be a little bit more challenging because now we're a little bit more tired. I know my Muscles are a little bit more fatigued now in this last round, but it's really good to help us push through because we can build that mental strength and fortitude that can help us in other areas of our lives. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh my goodness. All right, shake your legs out. We did great. We're done with those today. We got staggered squats up next. I think I might need the fans on in a second. 3, 2, 1. So picking whatever leg you want to start with, using our whole foot, coming down, driving through our whole foot. So we got heel big toe, little toe going, just like a 2-leg squat. If you want to make it more challenging, slow it down, increase your time under tension. As y'all know by now, the best way to make things a little bit more challenging to create that progressive overload, to increase strength, weight, reps, sets, time under tension. So which ones can we control here? 3, 2, 1. All right, great job. We're done with this leg. Moving to the other leg. 1, we're ready. 3, 2, 1. All right, so other leg, same thing. Moving a little slower, make them more challenging. So you can increase your time under tension by adding a pause, a pulse, a slow eccentric, and a slow concentric. So slow eccentric would look like this. Going down nice and slow, pause, and then a slow concentric is coming up also nice and slow. So doing whatever you need to do today. Definitely increases the fire in our quads. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Done with our staggered squats today. We got plank to pike toe tap next. Okay. Make sure my glasses are going to stay on my face today. Last round here of this one. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Well, it's really our last round of the whole workout. I do like this one for single arm strength and stability, similar to our staggered squats, because technically, right, we are going up with both of our hands on the ground, but we are kind of pushing in, reaching at the same time, which is going to help us. So it's kind of like an assisted single arm, much like the staggered squat. Great job. Keeping our core tight. 3, 2, 1. All right. Done with those for today. And we have walking lunges. I'm not going to forget the pulse this time. Let's make this round count. 3, 2, 1. So just like I was saying too, this is part of increasing that time under tension. One little pulse at the bottom. Pushing off of our whole foot. You feeling that in our front leg a little bit more? You need to move a little slower on one of your legs. Go ahead and do so. Really want my back to the camera. All right, we're finishing strong. We only got one more movement after this, and then we're going to cool down. 3, 2, 1. All right. Done with those. Last movement of the day. And then we're going to cool down seated on the ground today. 3, 2, 1. And I just remembered I didn't say what it was. We're skipping. We're marching. Whatever feels good today. Keeping everything nice and tall. Let me go ahead and march it out. My hip is a little funky today. You all know I always preach, listen to your body, do what feels good for you. I said skips, but after 2 rounds and all those squats I did earlier and yesterday, it was a little funky. So you are the expert on you and your body. So do what feels good. Push the way you need to and the way you can today. 3, 2, 1. And that is going to be it for today's circuit. So go ahead, grab a sip of water if you need it. And we're going to be seated. Sorry, need some water there. We're going to do a seated figure 4. So if you would like to, feel free, you can lay on the ground. I'm going to do a seated one today because that's what I want us to do. We did a lot of squats and lower body things, so this is going to help us really open up our hips. So we're going to take one foot, we're going to plant it on the ground, crossing our ankle over the opposite knee. And for this one, I like because you can kind of sit a little bit closer, a little bit further from your leg to kind of customize the stretch a little easier. So if you need to scoot back, scoot closer, finding that good tension, we want to feel that right on the outside part of our hip, just like we would with a lying seated figure 4. Oh my gosh. As we would for a figure 4 if we were lying on the ground. Words. There they are. You can always use it seated on a chair as well. So if you've done a stretch rake with me, you know I love that stretch. So if you want to do it seated right now in a chair, feel free to do so. One more breath here. And as we finish our exhale, you can gently come out of that however you need to, whatever feels the best to come out of it. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So when we are ready, opposite ankle coming over our knee and finding whatever tension feels good. So you can scoot your heel a little closer to your glute, your chest closer to your ankle. You can push your knee out a little bit more away from you, really finding the good tension that you like and what feels good for your body. Because what feels good for me won't always feel good for you. Slowing our breaths down here. And one more breath here. And as we finish our exhale, we can gently release out of that however we would like, whatever feels good. And feel free to stay seated or do whatever else you need to stretch out today. But that is going to be all the time I have for us. Great job today. A lot of different things we did today. So thank you all for coming. I hope you all have a great day. And I'll see you again tomorrow for Exercise with Exo.